Hello, folks, and welcome to the Friend or Foe series, week number 4, day number 1, Team H Block versus Team Astorth. I am your friendly neighborhood shoutcaster, Sharigan, and I'm going to be joined on the caster desk by the friendly neighborhood Lolo. How's it going, Lolo?
Pretty good, thank you, Sharigan. It's a beautiful Monday, evening, or in fact Tuesday morning for me, and I am looking forward to seeing some spicy gameplay from the Lunar League.
You know, and I feel like this is definitely a way to start off. We've got Team H Block, who's done a pretty bang-up job of being showcasing just how strong they are and how they can't really be underestimated in this league. And then you got Team Astorth, who they've managed to pull out only one win so far, but every single one of their games has been an absolute madness. Like, it's just been a universe of madness with them.
Yeah, it really has. And I think I spoke to Hisme earlier. He said they said they were feeling quite confident about this time around. They think they've got themselves together this time. They've definitely been working on some stuff. But as we jump into the pick and ban, we are seeing, quite a lot targeted towards Tokyo Tree, who is a new sub for H Block. So I think they're just trying to give him as much kind of freedom as possible, given that they've kind of moved their roster around a little bit last minute.
Yes, over on Team H Block, Tokyo Tree subbing in at the mid lane. One thing that I do like that they're targeting a lot of the bans towards the mid lane on from H Block versus Astorth as well, trying to take away as much of Hisme's options as possible. We do have Shadows in the support role on Team Astorth as well, taking over for Anbo, who's not going to be playing. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be first time seeing him on the Rift. So it'll be really interesting seeing how he probably uses this Nautilus Kai'Sa combo. We do know that TAS is very good at playing like these scrappy, aggressive comps. So a Nautilus instead of a Swain, I think, is actually a really good pick into this because you're going to have a little bit more extra tank. Won't necessarily have the damage, though. And in response, H Block have picked up a pretty flexible, probably mid-jungle bot pick right there, as what we can see so far.
Yeah, and as we can see, we've got that Wombo combo already kicking off from the Jarvan and the Galio there. Loads of re-engage and global pressure with the Cataclysm. So and the hero's entrance, of course. So a really, really nice combination, just something they want to pick up. And yes, this Galio is very flexible into the middle support role. I'm a big fan of Galio support myself. It does provide a lot of heal, a lot of agency around the map. On the side of TAS, we do have a Kayn being picked up for Baytray. This is one of Baytray's picks. And so I think they're going to go with something fairly conventional. They're quite happy with this bot lane side as well. We've got the Kai'Sa Nautilus on deck. With this new sub Shadows, I think they just want to go with something that is relatively straightforward to play. Nothing too fancy here. Just a nice, solid combination. I think it works all right into the Ezreal. I mean, depending on whether you can get on him, of course, but it does provide a lot of early pressure, a lot of early priority. And as far as I'm aware, Shadows does play a bit of Galio himself, so a little bit of denial thus far as well. So as we get into the second round of bans, we do see an entire roster of mid lane bans from the side of Team H Block.
We have, and one thing I do want to point out is we have seen B-Try, I think it's B-Try, I'm not entirely sure on the pronunciation for that one, but he did pull out the Kayn last time that he was on the Rift. It wasn't like a super impressive performance. It was, I believe, 6, 4, 5, but definitely does seem like a comfort pick for them, and so obviously comfort picks are really, really important. Going into a Jarvan, I think that if you end up going Red Kayn, getting that Rost out, it's going to give you some extra tank, a little bit extra survivability and CC that you will need to help heal for some of your damage here, or just provide some disruption to the team fights. I do like Taz's comp, though, so far, which is basically all melee. So they want to get up in your face. They want to fight and start beating the crap out of you, which for a Galio, they like that. So they're going to be getting a lot of taunts off in this, and I think that it's going to be really interesting. It's all about how that CC ends up playing out. And with this LeBlanc pick on the side of Team H Block, their team is looking a little bit squishy relatively compared to what Team Astorth could potentially pull out. So I'm wondering which targets LeBlanc is really going to be going for. Obviously the Kai'Sa, but with the Yasuo's wind wall, that's a lot of, like, the chain is going to get blocked and things of that nature. So you can actually cause a lot of LeBlanc's damage to just not exist.
However, of course, we do see this blind Camille, which actually I quite like here. I mean, I was casting actually a game earlier tonight with this kind of setup with the Jarvan, the Galio, and the Camille all together. It is absolutely disgusting levels of engage into counter engage. It really is quite ridiculous. Just obviously, if any of those champions manage to get onto a backline target, the Kai'Sa obviously being the obvious choice, then you do get to just chain into all of these different ultimates, and she's never going to be able to get out. No amount of peel is going to be able to stop that. However, of course, we see the Mordekaiser locked in. I am a huge fan of Mordekaiser. It will provide, I think, a relatively stable matchup into the Camille in top lane. Obviously, great 1v1 potential, but crucially, it will be able to also peel and get on potentially onto this LeBlanc when she starts to try to dive in on some of these squishy targets. So I do like that. I think the Yasuo is interesting. I mean, obviously, traditionally, if this Galio is going, well, it looks like it's going support. I mean, it does provide some nice, AD engage and follow up. We have the Nautilus, depth charge, of course, to set up for him. We have, I mean, depending on whether Betray does decide to go Red Cane, we do also have a knock up there as well. So lots of setup for the Yasuo, and as you said, the Wind Wall, very, very valuable at dealing with some of this poke from the LeBlanc and Ezreal. So interesting. Who do you favor here, Sharagan?
So just looking at these two comps, I'm honestly leaning in the direction of Team Astro, just because again, I'm a TAS fan. Like I am a diehard TAS fan. I love these guys to death. I feel like they're gonna have to pull out some interesting macro play, and I think that they're gonna have to be really careful and make sure they're hitting those ultimates. Because I know that the Camille Mordekaiser matchup is very heavily favored into Camille as the game goes on, just because she provides a little bit more for her team in terms of damage and able to hit multiple targets. Mord's ults, though, will be exceptionally important for, like you said, peeling. You manage to snag that Ezreal, you manage to snag that LeBlanc, or you pull the Jarvan out, but as they're trying to start that engage, you're basically going to negate a huge amount of damage potential against your team that could really end up saving your Kai'Sa, which will then get peeled for by the Nautilus and just the raw damage that a Yasuo can bring. As long as he doesn't hit the 1 in 10 power spike and goes for that 10 in 1 power spike, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the engage, obviously, it's very choreographed from the side of HBlock, so there is plenty of opportunity for TAS to play around this, given that they know precisely what HBlock will be going for. I think I'll be looking, particularly towards the bot lane, especially since we do have a support subbed in, but we do have this Kayn as well, who does have a decent amount of early gank potential, and the Yasuo, of course, great at clearing waves. He will potentially be given some opportunity to roam down into this bot side, should he wish to. I think we should definitely be looking at that side of the map to see where, who is going to be coming out ahead, because...
Yep, and I want to point out there were some massive pings on that top lane Mordekaiser as he walks up. I'm not sure if that means that it was a little bit of miscommunication for him to be choosing to go up there instead of joining the rest of TAS down here, as they have looped around on the bot lane. Both of these teams have managed to miss each other, so they were both looking for that 5-man dive. Neither of them are finding it, so it's going to be really interesting to see how this ends up playing out.
Well, I mean, this actually, of course, more or less favors K1ZZ. Should he be sitting up there for now, obviously he's going to be able to get some priority on the map.
Look at this. We've got a little bit of a fight brewing right here as we have some catches. This is going to be really bad as all 5 members have walked over to just the 3. That is going to be a flash and first blood going for the ignite to the Galio. Oh, that's just not something you want to see.
No, absolutely. And, well, I think Shadows is going to be able to walk back in time. Yeah, the Betray is going to be able to get out with the Kayn, so that's okay. I mean, do they want to take this?
Tree and Hisme just kind of like fighting here in the river.
Yeah, Tokyo Tree making a bit of a statement, as of course this the sub in on the side of HBlock. So he's trying to make waves right here as their new addition, and that is going to be quite nice. Obviously, it would have been even nicer. He did have to burn the flash, of course, looking for that kill onto.
Big hook just to start things off. Is obviously Shadow is trying to get some revenge right there. The heal is going to have to come out for the Ezreal to keep him alive, but that is a lot of damage already, and the Hex Flash is now ready for Shadows.
And massive summoner advantage here for the side of TAS and the bot side. The Ezreal now.
Another hook going back in there. Like I said, this is going to be a good fight. Got a nice bit of damage onto Pro Lupul. That is going to be yet more engaged by Gua. This is getting really, really close. Like you already see, like you said, summoner advantage on the side of TAS because they've already gotten rid of 3 of the 4 that they have to worry about.
Yeah, and this Halo Blades Kai'Sa doing so much damage early. That's going to be a huge amount of priority for B-Tray as he's not actually he's going to be working his way up towards the top side of the map, it looks like. And whilst they are going to be staying down there.
Yep, I think K1ZZ getting a nice bit of poke damage on Jita.
Yeah, and I mean, look at HBlock right now. HBlock is already a lot of early priority for this LeBlanc. And that's going to make it actually... I'm surprised that B-Tray has opted to... I mean, obviously, he's going to want to go for the full clear. The Kayn, obviously, not too strong a champion early until he gets that evolve off. But he's got so much priority in its bot side river that I feel like this is an easy scuttle. But instead, he is going to be up and clearing its camps. And we might potentially see a confrontation in the top side. We
definitely will. As we see that Jarvan has already started to go in onto K1ZZ. K1ZZ might actually go down before Jarvan gets there, though. So he's going to unfortunately get exceptionally low. He's not quite able to pick up the kill onto Jita before he goes down, though.
Oh, and he burns the flash as well. He's got the TP, of course, but given the wave state, I think it's probably more valuable just to walk back to lane. That is going to give an early scuttle over to Idris and the side of HBlock. So the bot side scuttle, it's still okay. B-Tray is just going to go for a full clear and a reset. Hisme, though, is having a really rough time. He's being forced into quite a lot of
Look at
pressure.
This. We saw both TPs come out already. K1ZZ and Jita and Idris are trying to just basically make K1ZZ suffer for his TP. And they just might be able to do it. Jita getting exceptionally low, though, and K1ZZ again going down. It's like you said, the lane state just was not in his advantage, and so he's a little overly aggressive. And so that is unfortunately one of the... TAS likes to fight, even when they shouldn't be fighting. And that's kind of their big downfall.
And that is pretty catastrophic now for the side of TAS now, because K1ZZ, of course, is going to have to walk back to lane in a much worse wave state than it would have been previously. The Camille already gotten her reset off. She's going to be pushing things to tower and potentially looking for some early plates. Whilst down in the bot side, I mean, the CS, it's fairly even. It does look like it's stabilized relatively, but yeah, Hisme earlier is not having a particularly good time against HBlock right now. As I said, he's been trying to get a base off, but HBlock just hasn't been letting him.
Yeah, you don't really expect him to let Yasuo just back for free, because of Yasuo with items is a Yasuo you don't want to deal with. And with this, the way things are playing out here, HBlock is doing a really good job keeping him trapped under that tower, just kind of starving him out as best he can. I do think that those 2 kills onto Idris are going to be super important here, because that's just going to allow Jarvan to hit his power spike that much earlier than Kayn, and it's going to facilitate this gank right here. Good flash taunt coming out from Pro Lupul. They're going to get a lot of damage off. Shadow's getting exceptionally low. He's going to go down. Now it's a matter of if Gua is able to survive, and he is not. And that is going to be another return set of kills going for HBK onto TAS. And unfortunately, TAS's comp is not one you want to see fall behind. And now that they are in this position, they are going to be very risky. Look at that damage coming out as HBK takes down Hisme.
And I think one of the biggest things to take away from that is that B-Tray was going for a solo Drake take in the middle of that, recognizing that he did have some decent priority in his bot side, but it's very questionable given that you see how much priority that the mid laner has and how easily she could roam. But instead, HBlock just gets a nice easy solo kill onto Hisme, and now everyone's accelerated on the side of HBlock at this point.
Everyone on HBlock is accelerated very, very quickly, very far. And unfortunately for that TAS, they are now in a position where they have to play from behind, which is not a position we have seen them perform exceptionally well at. However, they may be able to pull something off here, and so we just got to see. We already see Kayn in the bot lane. He has decided to go out and fight for this Idris, but he is so far behind. He has to smite the wolves and run away, and he is finding now he is not strong enough to take the level 6 Jarvan on, and unfortunately, he's just got to run away.
That was a very, very strange interaction between the Kayn like wall walk and the Cataclysm there. he got a little bit lucky there, I think. That could have definitely been a lockdown and another kill. But, I mean, Idris is chilling right now. He is absolutely gigantic at this point. And with his solo laners, in fact, his bot side as well, in fairly strong positions, he's just going to be able to have free reign of these neutral objectives as the game goes on.
Yeah, look at that damage that LeBlanc is putting out. Like the wind wall, just getting around the wind wall is causing Yasuo so many problems. One thing that K1ZZ is doing up here in the top lane, just like continually shoving this lane is, oh my goodness, is trying to get out. He gets exceptionally low. He is ignited, but I think he's going to be fine. That was really close.
It was. Actually, I think the ignite was on cooldown. Otherwise, that definitely was an easy kill there. For another one for HBlock. But either way, it's forcing him into another very bad base, so it almost doesn't matter because HBlock now free reign to take plates on this turret. His support is roaming up as well, so if there was any contestation from B-Tray...
We got another fight brewing right here. B-Tray just deciding to go right in on it. We do see the Kane get a nice bit of damage onto the Galio. We have the rest of TAS trying to get themselves some renge, pick themselves up some gold, put it onto Gua, and that is what you want to see. This could be the start of the return snowball.
Absolutely. But I mean, it's what I think he should have been doing from the beginning. This is the lane that you're going to have to put your resources in because it's the only one with any form of priority right now. And to be fair, whilst K1ZZ actually has taken 2 early deaths, he is got a pretty sizable CS lead at the moment, just feeling a little bit more confident in that 1v1 without too much attention from Idris. But Idris is roaming up again, so he's got to be a little bit careful about staying.
Yeah, like we do see that Idris has just decided to live in this top lane. However, K1ZZ knows that means that if he has the priority up here, the rest of his laners don't have to deal with the Jarvan. He's now taken him into the death realm, trying to survive just as long as possible, just delay this as long as he can. We see the Hextech ultimatum come out, and that is going to result in Idris picking up yet another kill in the top lane, as he has now picked up 3 of his 4 kills up there.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just free reign. I mean, even with the Shadow Realm there, it's just... There was no items previously on this Mordekaiser.
Look, the Woodwall coming out just a little bit too late. HBK is getting really low as HBlock is able to pick up that kill. And yet again, that is like the 2 deaths that Yasuo has had, both have been solo kills.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not the matchup that Ismay was looking for. HBlock looking exceptionally comfortable in this matchup right now. Just pressure from the beginning. And yeah, he's very, very far ahead at this point. He's been getting plates. All of this is
looking for an engage onto Jita. Good, trying to get this knock-up hit right there. Not quite able to do it. We have a decent amount of damage coming out as K1ZZ is returning to this lane. B-Try is just trying to stay alive. We have the Galio ultimate coming in as well, though. That's going to be a nice knock-up on K1ZZ. The ultimate comes out from Kane. He does go invulnerable. Jita really low is going to go down here as we see Pro Lupo take down B-Try. And then we have HBlock coming up into this top lane as well, as the rest of HBlock is just like, look, we do not want Mordekaiser coming online. We are just going to basically shut you down for this whole game. They are obliterating the top side of this rift.
And this speaks volumes about the state of the game right now. The fact that 4 members can walk up there and completely mob poor K1ZZ, who's just not been having a good time at all this game. I mean, the bot side is going to get a push. In fact, there's going to be a little bit of a push mid lane as well. But really, I mean, HBlock is losing out on very little here. In fact, Hismay's got to be careful as he's coming back into lane that he doesn't get soloed yet again. And Tokyo Tree is just chilling under this tower, really. I mean, they can look for a dive, but with that, with the True Shot Barrage coming out, you know, they'll get a plate, but not much more. And he's just been sitting here picking up solo XP, excuse me. So... And now another roam.
We got another engage right here in the bot lane. This is a great macro coming out from HBlock as they have decided, you know what, we're going to get this Drake. In order to get this Drake, let's just get as much prio as we possibly can in the bot lane. Just push every member of our team there. Mordekaiser in the top side is allowed to free farm at this point. He's probably going to get himself a plate off of that top lane, but it's probably not going to matter because first tower is going to fall over to HBlock. As this, we're going to see Scully here do probably about 3 plates worth of damage. 2, sorry. And with those 2, that's pretty hefty. And then that's going to be the Infernal Drake going over to HBK, which means that the Soul is going to probably end up going over to them as well.
Quick prediction, Sharon. Quick prediction. What are we getting?
Mountain.
Okay.
I got it.
Let's go. My man, he's a prophet, man. He always knows every time. All right.
Oh, and they're going to go ahead and engage in here on the bot lane. And unfortunately, Shadows is just going down way too low. He's way too squishy. Idris sitting under tower, taking a lot of shots, but it's not going to matter as he's going to stay alive. 3 members now against this one Kayn, and Jita in the top lane fighting Kayn1ZZ, but Kayn1ZZ is going to take him down, get himself some revenge. B-Try able to run away, getting some multiple flashes onto him in order to try and take him down. That's going to result in Idris having to take a couple of tower shots. He will survive. Unfortunately, we did see that LeBlanc was roaming around on the bottom side jungle, so that would have resulted in a death for B-Try anyway, but that's just unfortunate.
And honestly, like, I have to give so much credit. After we saw, I mean, again, like, there's just too much prio in the mid lane for them to be making plays around the dragon, really. It's just that they're always going to be at a numbers disadvantage. And when you have a 5-0, well, he wasn't 5-0-5 quite at the beginning of that, but he's so big, this Jarvan, that, like, this Kayn is in no position to contest him at this point. But K1ZZ has been, like, holding his own in lane, despite how many times he's been mobbed by, you know, most of, like, the whole of H-block. He's still doing all right, actually, and he's probably, you know, the main, like, focus of how they're going to play around in these fights. Him and Gua, who's just been, you know, trying to get the most CS he can, given, you know, the rough situation his team is in. And he's doing all right. He's got his Kraken Slayer online as well, and has been getting another push with a lot of roaming that's been coming out from Pro Lupul. Very effective roaming, of course. So
look at this. We've got the Galio ultimate coming down. Grand entrance. That's going to be a lot of damage coming out. The taunt's going to come out as well. That's going to be a knock-up as Gua gets hit pretty hard. We are seeing him trying to take down this Ezreal. Not quite able to get the final hit off, but that doesn't matter as B-Try comes in, picks up the kill. And that is going to be Rost picking himself up. But that's going to be the shutdown gold going over to him. In the meantime, we have these Galio and Jarvan just trying to chase him down. Knock-up coming out. We are going to see B-Try able to get away. Nice bit of disruption. See, and here's the thing about H-Block. Remember how I said that we wanted to see Yasuo go for the 10-1 power spike rather than the 0-10 power spike? That's the whole of Taz's team in general. They all will come online and they will start doing massive amounts of damage and able to start taking these fights on, while eventually HBK is going to end up in a situation where there's having to beat these giant stat sticks. Look at this, Idris. He's able to get Kayn really low. He does have an ally there. B-Try, though, is trying to get enough disruption. And he does have enough lifesteal. Look at this. This is what I was talking about. There's enough sustain on the side of Taz as these champions get larger that they will just start to become much more devastating over time.
And
look,
honestly,
good placement by Shadow, waiting for Jarvan, trying to keep the vision, allowing Gua to pick up the kill. And that is going to be shut down going over to the Kai'Sa. And that is where you want to see the money going.
Yeah, she got both shutdowns. The Galio, of course, was sitting on a shutdown as well.
This is the investment banking strategy.
Yeah.
Look at this, K1ZZ picking up the kill. He does take Jita down into the Death Realm. They are fighting this out. He has the stats. He's able to take him out and get himself a revenge kill. We are starting to see the return of this snowball as HBK may not have been able to push it far enough up the hill.
And just a little bit of complacency or possible, like, overconfidence from the side of HBK there. I mean, I guess Idris really, as I say that,
good taunt, but the thing is, Pro Lupul, you don't want a Kai'Sa auto attacking you. That's just free damage for them. H-Block, in the meantime, is taking on B-Try. Gets a decent amount of damage, but the sustain on this Rost is helping him so much. Doesn't run in the correct direction, though, and Yasuo is unfortunately unable to catch him to help him out in time. But we do see the Mordekaiser picks up the shutdown. In the meantime, this bot lane fight is just going on as Gua goes on a killing spree. And it's just, there's fights all across this map.
Absolutely. A little bit of a fiesta going on here. And to be honest, at this stage, it really does benefit TAS because lots of shutdowns being picked up right now. In fact, pretty much all of them. The LeBlanc, of course, went down in that exchange as well. And this Kai'Sa now, I'm very excited to see what she's going to pick up from that back because she must be sitting on a gigantic quantity of gold at this point.
Earlier in this game, not 5-10 minutes ago, we were seeing that Taz was down 5k gold. At this point, they have pulled it back to less than 1, like essentially 1k.
Yeah, so look at that. She's come back with boots. She's working on most of a Wit's End as well right now, which is obviously going to be very nice against the burst coming out from the LeBlanc. This dragon, though, this is definitely a problem. They have all had to reset due to all of the skirmishing, and they've been sitting on so many items. So they are in a position they can actually look to fight this. But we do remember there is a TP sitting there on that Camille, and there is a massive wombo combo we talked about on the side of H-Block that
We see
really they have
that
to worry
this Drake
about,
has been started. They did not clear out that ward. We do have a control ward drop, so they do know that there was a ward here. Unfortunately, Shadows did hit it. Galio going in, getting a double taunt off. That is a lot of damage. Ezreal is catching multiple members. Grand Entrance is going to provide so much resistance on a knock-up, and that's just going to be the rest of TAS falling. K1ZZ was not there to assist, unfortunately, but we see that he has now come in, and he's trying to 1v5. He takes Jarvan into the Death Realm. He's trying to just basically end this Jarvan as much as he can, take the King down. Isn't quite able to. H-Block able to get a huge amount of damage off in the bot lane during that fight. We have the Hextech ultimatum coming up here in the top lane as the shutdown comes out onto Camille, and that is going to be a double kill going over to H-Block down there, and that is going to be the first putting Soul Point onto HBK for this next dragon.
And really, I mean, the thing that was working for them a lot in those fights was how skirmishy they were. The Kayn was getting so much value off of the kind of weaving in and out and procs on the Gore Drinker and obviously Rust with the sustain, but the moment that they all jump on you, you just get bursted down immediately, and
look at this. We do see that they don't want to stop this fight. They're basically like, fine, we lost a fight, it's okay, we'll just take the next one. We see Ross getting a nice knockup. We have a nice ultimate coming out from Yasuo, able to get that onto H-Block. Kayn jumping inside, getting a nice bit of damage, but the jump into the clone keeps the... I don't know how they survived that. What is going on? So much mobility, so much jumping around with the LeBlanc clones. It is absolutely insane.
And just a bit of an overextension there. I mean, that is the combo we were looking for from the Rust, which is what B-Tray went for, and it has been working out well for him. But they got the lovely knock-up, they got the last breath follow-up, but there's no damage. There's no damage from like a Yasuo who's 0-4. He's only got a shield bow this late in the game. He did hold on to his ignite, which I think was a little bit greedy there. But either way, just this LeBlanc is so massive. She's working her way towards 3 items at this point. H-Block has been running a clinic in this mid lane, and as you said, you know, they almost got him, but she's a tricky champ to get onto, and with a little bit of an overextension.
K1ZZ is there, but it's not going to matter as he gets pulled into the Death Realm. So we do see that Mordekaiser trying to fight this as best he can. He doesn't know that Ezreal is there, I don't believe, but Ezreal's just going to hop over the wall and make himself known. And this right here is a really bad spot for K1ZZ. He's not able to fight this. There's just too much range in his melee. Nice interaction from the hook shot on Camille, trying to pull herself away from the Nautilus. Is able to avoid getting taken down by the Dredge line, though. We do have Prolupal now returning, potentially waiting in the wings, but he's just going to go ahead and back and heal up.
And it's really hard to try to like get state of what's going on the map right now, just because this is an absolute fiesta. We're looking at about 1.5 kills a minute. But
the Kai'Sa missing the W flash to avoid the claw from Mordekaiser, and then that is just going to be HBK running away to fight another day.
Yeah, and H-Block, they don't even want any part of this, I don't think. I mean, Shadows can have a go at it, but at this point, they recognize that she's got pretty good 2v1 potential, and that would be disastrous because look at all the priority that H-Block have now got in their mid side. They are really zoning in on this Baron that's about to spawn.
They really are. Gua jumping in on this Ezreal, getting a decent amount of damage off. We have the Grand Entrance coming out from Galio. Gua's trying to run away, just misses the Blast Cone, but it wouldn't have mattered because we already saw that Idris was waiting for him. J4 jumping right on top. Jita jumping onto Hisme right here, and that is going to be the Hextech ultimatum coming out, and that is going to be a nice fight right there. Hisme able to survive, but we already have the Cataclysm ready and waiting in the wings to finish him off, and then we already have Nautilus trying to keep the LeBlanc from continuing this engage, and that is just going to be HBK continually pressuring TAS, trying to get them to take fights that they don't want to be taking and keeping them lasting long enough so the rest of their team members can show up.
Okay, we do see a re-engage.
Re-engage, continuing Dredgeline, trying to pull him under tower. At this point, Rift Herald's going to come out. That's going to be the tier 2 going down here in just a second. They aren't going to be able to stop it. The ultimate from Mordekaiser coming out, Death Realm, onto this J4, keeping him from being involved in this fight. But unfortunately, that's going to result in K1ZZ appearing right in the middle. But that was a huge knockup right there. Lots of damage coming out from TAS, and that is going to be HBK going golden to try and survive. H-Block eventually, though, just using the fancy feet, the juke stick, able to get away. We have Ezreal in the meantime just peppering the shots off to the side, and that is going to be them taking down more members of TAS. And unfortunately, this Yasuo will not survive under tower. He's taking a lot of damage. He does manage to actually get a knockup onto the Camille and is able to get his ultimate off, but it's not going to matter.
No, he really... 1 and 6 is not the score. It's quite a characteristic Yasuo scoreline, but it's unfortunately not the scoreline that Ismay is looking for in this game. I mean...
He's got 4 more deaths. He's got 4 more deaths before he comes online.
Yeah, 4 more deaths.
It's still there. Still there.
Yeah, we got time. The thing was, HBK grouped up there because they really, at this point, were just confident that whatever happened, they could get their entire combo off. And you saw they did. They got another beautiful knock up into the last breath. In fact, I'm pretty sure that we saw 2 last breaths in that whole exchange because it went on for so long. I could be mistaken. But either way, loads and loads of, like all of the source that TAS could have been wanted in that fight they got, and it didn't matter because look, it's almost a 10k gold lead at this time.
It's a 10k gold lead and like a 2-level difference at the very minimum for a lot of TAS versus HBK. Like, just look at Gua. Just running into H block means that they're going to die instantaneously. B-Try taking way too much damage, not able to do much, unfortunately, as they just get completely shredded. Galio trying to get away, but doesn't really matter. He's going to get pulled back. We have Rost not near tanky enough, not able to survive. This is unfortunately not going in the way of TAS. They have surprisingly taken out enough members and forced off enough health that they might be able to try to take this Drake, but it's not in their favor. Nope. Sorry. J4 came back and decided to fight this, and unfortunately that Death Realm leaves Nautilus all by themselves.
Ooh, there we go.
It does allow Mordekaiser to pick up the shutdown gold, but that's going to leave Soul available for HBK to pick up, and you don't want to see this team with the shield. Because what TAS wanted was they wanted these 5v5 fights where they had the advantage. And now that they have this shield on top of HBK, it's just going to make it that much harder for them to even have a chance of hitting the health bar, much less taking them down.
No, they really can't get a kill, as you can see from the score lines on... there's 2 1k shutdowns on the side of HBK right now. When H-Block started stacking... he's taken a trip to the library, and I really do not blame him at this point because... he's pretty untouchable right now. I mean, they could get the full combo off still, wouldn't do anything. And look, this Baron's melting right now from H-Block, and TAS have no way of contesting this.
That is absolutely shredded. The only thing they could hope for would be for a raw steal, but unfortunately they didn't even know that they were on the Baron until it was too late. K1ZZ now going to get engaged on by 3 of these members, and there's just nowhere for him to go, and unfortunately the Death God is going to die.
Yeah. Out he goes. He's had a pretty good performance.
Ironically, right when Ezreal goes godlike.
Yeah. Absolutely. He's taken that god status away just for a second, but now it's there is nothing that HBK need to be worried about here on this top side. They've got Baron minions. They've got 5 members just chilling up here. The Camille is going to wrap around for the mid lane, and poor Gua was trying to get a little bit of split pushing done on that bot side, but he's been forced to recall now because he knows that, if he stays there for too long, the game's just over. So they're going to siege this. Not much they can do about it, and
there really isn't. Kind
of really
not. 2 members of TAS in a grand entrance, and there's just nothing they can do to stop it. That is a lot of damage, and the taunt is just going to make it so that they can't even respond. And unfortunately, that's just going to be lights out for TAS during this fight. There's nothing they can really do. They don't have the damage to fight off 5 members of HBK, as this Baron is just going to continue the siege behind them. That's going to be the inhibitor tower down. This could very well be the final push for game, as we see that they're taking out 2 inhibitors. And then, this is essentially it. We see right now, final siege, the last stand for Team Azores, and unfortunately we're just going to see them put up one hell of a fight. Mordekaiser doing what they can, trying to get some damage off, not quite able to do it. Same thing with Ross down in the bot side, not quite able to get off what damage they can, and this is just going to be the Nexus getting whittled away and eventually falling. Wind walls up, trying to protect the rest of the team members, and that is going to be a clean win for Team HBK.
And what a statement to be making by HBK with this new roster they're sitting on. A fabulous performance from the new sub in Tokyo Tree, as well as H-Block, and just incredible stuff across the board from them. Really, I mean, we knew exactly what this comp wanted to achieve, and it did everything that it needed to. And I do want to give a special shout out here to the weak side king K1ZZ, because he really did. He really did pull his weight, given that he got ganked something like 4 times and mobbed by most of the team. But he still did what a Mordekaiser should, which is just getting into the fight, picking someone off, and being as much of a problem as possible. But the rest of the map, a little bit wanting, unfortunately. And right here, a bit of a clinic from HBK.
Yeah. the big problem I think that TAS had to face was that LeBlanc in the mid lane. It just caused so many issues as this game progressed. The amount of mobility and the ability to just get so much burst off, it would allowing them to just do so much damage so quickly. H-Block doing an absolute fantastic job, going 13-1 and 11, which is the exact same score as Tokyo Tree. So that right there, kind of a mirrored. Same on the CS, though surprisingly, I think that there must have been a shutdown or two that H-Block picked up, which is the only reason their gold is different. Otherwise, that's kind of hilarious seeing them match almost exactly the same.
Yeah, 100%. And it was all enabled by Idris just being very, very proactive on this job. And of course, ProLupal on the Galio. We know we talked about how effective Galio is at global roaming because of the hero's entrance. And he did an incredible job of locking down these members looking to kind of skirmish and play around, their space on the side of TAS. And it really never got going for them. I mean, they did have some priority in the bot lane, but the mid lane was just a bit of a wash, unfortunately. And the top, I will say, Kiz did a very good, K1ZZ, excuse me, I always want to say it that way, but did a very good job mitigating a lot of that pressure. But it was too little too late at that point. And yeah, it was just a snowball that never stopped rolling, I think.
It stalled a little bit, but unfortunately there was no twig to stem that flub. I do think we can definitely give K1ZZ some massive props. I'd almost want to say he's MVP just with how well he was doing. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back, and don't just stick around. Don't go away. Hello, folks. Welcome back. I am Shargan, and I have joining me over here on the interview desk, H-Block, the LeBlanc legend, I think, that was just doing absolute work this game versus Team Asworth. How are you doing today? How do you feel about this game?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you.
Yeah. So what exactly were your plans going into this draft versus Team Asworth? Because you know that they're kind of a scrappy comp, so obviously you were anticipating that, but what was it you exactly wanted to get out of your bans and picks?
To be honest, I didn't know exactly what was going on because I had just came back and arrived just as draft started, so I was just going along with whatever the team wanted.
So it was much more of a...
I really had no idea.
So was the LeBlanc pick like a planned thing, or was that more of like a just pick me something I'm comfortable with?
LeBlanc is a pretty good Yasuo counter, and so we took advantage of that. He did ban Victor though, and I would have had more trouble playing Victor into Yasuo. So I'm a little bit lucky that he didn't ban LeBlanc.
Yeah, that definitely is, like, just being able to pick up something that you know counters something else is always going to be really tricky. And you kind of expect that the other laner is going to have some kind of response. You pretty clearly proved them wrong. So with that, you guys pulled out a pretty clean victory this time around. That's going to bring your standings to 4-3, which is similar to the other middle parts of the pack, which is gonna be like Church of Alfonso, Blue Bayou Zoo. So how do you guys feel you stack up against the rest of the league here?
I still feel we can claim this #1 spot going forward. I didn't get the chance to play against either of those teams yet, so I'm still waiting to play on myself. I think things will go a lot differently.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. If we hadn't had a chance to see the team HBK's namesake on the Rift versus those teams, it's definitely going to be kind of an interesting thing there. So do you have any other final thoughts? Like any particular team that you're actually gunning for?
Not necessarily. We're just trying to work on our own game right now.
All right.
I think if we focus on other people, our gameplay wouldn't be as good.
If you can't beat yourself, can you really beat your opponents?
Exactly.
I think that's a deep statement that probably doesn't actually mean anything if you think about it too much. All right. Well, thank you so much, H-Block. Really appreciate you doing the interview with us. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back with the next game. We will be back in just a few minutes after a short break.